The Passion of Jesus Christ is one of the most profound stories in human history. It's not just an account of unimaginable suffering and death. It's the ultimate revelation of a love willing to give everything. For Christians, the Passion stands at the very heart of their faith. It shows who Jesus is, why he came, and just how deeply God loves humanity. In Tisbitheo, we will walk step by step through the final hours of Jesus' earthly life, from the Last Supper to the cross, and reflect on what his passion means for the world and for our own lives. On the night before his arrest, Jesus gathers his 12 disciples to celebrate the Passover meal. This moment, known as the Last Supper, is filled with profound emotion and meaning. Jesus knows what lies ahead. He knows betrayal is just moments away. Yet instead of reacting with fear, he chooses to act in love. He takes bread, breaks it, and shares it with his disciples, telling them it represents his body, which will be given for them. He then takes a cup of wine and says it represents his blood, which will be poured out for the forgiveness of sins. This sacred moment becomes the foundation of Christian communion, a powerful and enduring reminder that Jesus gives himself completely. During the meal, Jesus also does something extraordinary. He washes his disciples' feet, an act normally done by the lowest of servants. Through this humble gesture, he teaches a radical lesson, that true greatness comes not from power or status, but through service and selfless love. Even as he speaks of his impending betrayal, Jesus does not withdraw his grace or his love. After the meal, Jesus goes with his closest disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane. Here, the immense weight of what is to come presses down upon him. He asks his disciples to stay awake and pray with him, but overcome by weariness, they struggled to keep their eyes open. Jesus, however, stays awake, praying earnestly to his Father. In the quiet of the garden, we see Jesus' humanity with piercing clarity. He feels deep sorrow, anguish, and distress. It prays that, if it is possible, this cup of suffering might pass from him. But he ends his prayer with an act of perfect surrender. Not my will, but yours be done. This moment teaches us something vital about faith. It doesn't mean we will avoid pain or hardship. It means trusting God's purpose and love, even in our most difficult and frightening moments. Suddenly, the silence of the garden is shattered. Judas, one of the 12, arrives with soldiers and religious officials. He betrays Jesus with a kiss, a sign of friendship twisted into an act of treachery. Despite knowing exactly what is happening, Jesus does not flee or resist. He steps forward willingly, even acting to protect his disciples from being arrested alongside him. When one of his followers draws a sword and violence threatens to erupt, Jesus immediately stops it. He chooses peace over resistance, love over force. Even in the face of betrayal and injustice, Jesus remains faithful to his mission of peace and redemption. Jesus is then arrested and taken before the religious leaders. It's a trial in name only. False witnesses are brought forward to speak against him, but their stories are inconsistent and fall apart. He is mocked, spat upon, questioned, and accused of crimes he did not commit. Through much of this ordeal, Jesus remains silent. His silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a display of incredible strength. It shows that truth does not always need to shout to defend itself. Sometimes, it simply stands firm in its integrity. Despite the lack of credible evidence, the leaders are determined to condemn him. Next, Jesus is brought before the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pilate questions Jesus and finds no guilt in him. He can see that Jesus is an innocent man, yet he feels the immense pressure from the crowd, which has been stirred into a frenzy. They are demanding Jesus' execution. Pilate, fearing a riot and unwilling to risk his political career, allows injustice to prevail. He washes his hands, symbolically absolving himself of responsibility. But he ultimately gives the order. This moment reveals a chilling truth about human nature. How fear, political pressure, and the desire for self-preservation can lead people to override truth and conscience. An innocent man is sentenced to die in the most brutal way imaginable. The sentence is carried out immediately. Jesus is forced to carry his own cross through the crowded streets of Jerusalem. Weak from the beatings he has endured and exhausted from the emotional and spiritual struggle, he stumbles under its weight, but continues forward. Along the sorrowful path, he encounters his mother, Mary, whose silent grief speaks volumes. A man from the crowd, Simon of Cyrene, is compelled by the soldiers to help Jesus carry the heavy wooden beam. Jesus also sees women who are mourning for him, and even in his own agony, he stops to offer them words of compassion. This journey, the Via Dolorosa or Way of Sorrows, reminds us that love often demands perseverance. Through unimaginable pain, and that compassion can be found even in the darkest of journeys. Finally, at a place called Golgotha, the Hill of the Skull, Jesus is crucified between two criminals. Nails are driven through his hands and feet. As he hangs on the cross, his words reveal the unchanging nature of his heart. He looks at the soldiers who have just crucified him and prays, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." He offers a promise of paradise to a repentant criminal beside him. He ensures his mother will be cared for. As Jesus breathes his last, darkness covers the land. The earth trembles. To his followers, who watch from a distance, all hope appears to be lost. Fear and confusion take hold. Yet this silence, this darkness, is not the end. It is not a sign of defeat. It is the sacred pause before God's greatest victory. The passion of Jesus Christ reveals a love that knows no limits. A love willing to suffer, to forgive, and to give everything for the sake of others. Though this part of the story ends in the darkness of the tomb, it points directly toward the brilliant light of the resurrection and the eternal hope it brings. The Passion reminds us that even in our own darkest moments, in our deepest pain and sorrow, love remains stronger than the darkness, and hope is never truly lost. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the depths of faith.